where you belong. Give you strength to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising,
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's match review of the Fulham defeat. Of course, it finished for Fulham 3-1, well, it was just a shit show, we'll get into it as the show goes on. Everyone is going to have very, very different opinions of last night, of course, so we'll get into it as we go across the show. We obviously want to know how you guys are feeling as well. It wasn't great, was it? Let's be fair. A bit of a push in the second half, but just not good enough. We left ourselves with a mountain to climb very early on in the game, and we couldn't climb it. It's as simple as that. If you do enjoy tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, if you can give it the thumbs up as usual, very important to the channel. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, please do subscribe. It is free to do so. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. You can support the channel in two ways. First of all, via membership, which is the join button just underneath myself and Billy. David H has indeed just done that. Thank you very much, David, and welcome to Members Club. Thank you so much for that. And of course, super chats are available. Hit the $sign at the bottom of the live comments, and that will guarantee your comment to be read out live on the show. Billy, you're looking a bit confuzzled.
That's all right. I've got the the old Wi-Fi button up, but I'm connected. Sure, should be automatically. So I don't know what got it. But there you go.
Well, you're definitely with us. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Good evening, Billy.
Good evening, and good evening to all those out there in Viewerland.
Now, Stato hopefully will be with us at some point during the show. He's had to run someone back, one of his family, back to the airport. He is hopefully going to be with us in time to do the player ratings for certain. But Billy, we may as well dive straight into it. Yesterday was as bad as it gets in that first half. We started, I guess, decently. We had a good first few minutes. We scored a goal, which, it was offside, fair enough. But it gave you the impression that we were going to hit them hard. The team selection for me was very, very attacking from Eddie. I quite liked what I saw, apart from maybe Tonali not starting. Obviously, that's the big one, but we'll get into that shortly. But we did start brightly, but then, we concede that dreadful goal. Fabian Schär decides to give Jimenez the freedom of, the football ground, and he turns and smashes it in the bottom corner. And from then on, it was absolute bollocks.
It was awful. I thought team selection was awful. Also, the fact that someone that's good enough to play for Italy in an international against France and dominate the game can't get a game for Newcastle United in successive games against Wolves and Fulham away is beyond belief for me. We started as we've started all season really well for the first 4 minutes. Scored a goal, was offside. Then they've gone up the other end and scored. We've just gone to sleep really poor from 2 or 3 of them. I've got to say, the backing off from Kelly again. But the main thing is Schär in the middle, just allowing Jimenez to turn. So 8 yards from goal. Got to be touch tight there. Can't allow him to turn. And you allow players like that, the quality of Jimenez, to do that, you're going to get punished. And he was, and we were, no chance for Pope. But it just symptoms started from there. And then we were asleep most of the time. No defensive play from the midfield, leaving the defenders to do everything themselves. It was just generally awful. Really, really poor. The worst I've seen this for a long, long time.
Yeah. Now, of course, Eddie Howe has come under a lot of criticism from a lot of fans. Again, there's many people who have criticised Eddie for the team selection, and of course, many people backing Eddie. I think Eddie got it wrong by not starting Tonali. I will never understand. I think he's come out and admitted that starting Willock was a mistake. Like you said, leaving Tonali on that bench yesterday was probably disgraceful, actually, because it's not like this guy has, you look at Calafiori for Arsenal, he's straight into the side, yet Tonali isn't. And, and he's playing well for Arsenal, Calafiori. And for some reason, Eddie decides to keep sitting Tonali on his arse. It's a complete waste of a marvellous talent. And we're suffering for it.
I'll tell you what else. Eddie Howe saying that about Joe Willock. I thought it was wrong to take Joe Willock off. I thought it was our best midfielder the first half.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean,
Billy, you keep freezing, mate. Do you want to try and reboot your router?
Yeah, hang on. No, I've done that the other day, so it's not that. I'll just try and sort it out. It's in on Wi-Fi at the minute, so
right.
Give me a minute.
Okay. So like I was saying, for me, leaving Tonali where he was on the bench, pretty much disgraceful. I have no idea why he would do that. Only Eddie knows. Alan says confidence will not work. Formation will not work. How is a poor manager? A lot of it made by Eddie's own choices. Good evening to Mark on the South Coast. Matt says some players are too comfortable. They know they won't get dropped no matter how bad they play. Interesting point, really. We spoke about this last week, about Bruno being captain, and has it taken away a little bit from his game? Maybe we have to start actually saying, yes, it has. He has started, to sort of drop off. Now, whether that's the tactics or not, I'm not 100% certain. I'm not privy to what goes on in the dressing room, but you maybe have to start asking questions here about, probably giving the captaincy to keep him at the club, to keep him happy. But is that always the best way and the best thing to do? I'm not so sure it is. Davey T says, I can't understand why Eddie doesn't like a CDM. The modern game, teams counter-attack so quickly, so a CDM protects your back four. Well, Bruno's supposed to be that CDM, but he does like to get forward as well. Stephen says, hi, guys, just an opinion. Do you think our run of bad form coincides with the appointment of Bunce and not my fault, Gov Mitchell? Well, what I will say on that is a lot of people are saying that, this turn of events or downward spiral in form, or whatever you will say about the football club, has all started since Amanda Staveley went. And looking back to when Amanda and Meerdad left the club, it hasn't seemed quite right. Now, I did that reaction video after the game yesterday because I wanted people's sort of reaction to it as well, about what they think could be the problem. Because, I know everybody's saying that there's unity and everything's happy behind the scenes, but quite clearly something's not. And I'm not just sitting here trying to cause trouble tonight and say, oh, it's all rosy. And there is something going on behind the scenes. Somebody is not happy. Somebody or something is causing this. I have no idea what it is. Oh, there he is. He's back. I don't know what it is. But I'm just saying, Billy, I'm truly believe now that something isn't right behind the scenes. It just does not sit right with me what's going on at the minute.
I've thought about this, and it looks to me as though Eddie Howe's days are numbered, I've got to say. I think that's been the case since Amanda Staveley walked out the door. I think.
Well, that's what a lot of people were saying yesterday.
He was her man. Once she's gone, Paul Hills are taking a more forward role. You've got him, Mitchell, and Bunce, a triumvirate of three. I think the Saudis should get themselves more involved, if I'm perfectly honest. I think that, leaving it to the people to do. The best thing they could have done was get on the phone to Amanda and employ her as a CEO. But I mean, she's partly to blame for this, for getting us in this financial state in the first place. I guess. Yeah. But looking back on it, once she went out the door, I think Eddie's days were numbered.
But taking finances away from it, Billy, What I mean about Amanda is the kind of unity that she managed to keep at the football club. When she was here, there was very, very rarely any negativity came out.
100%.
You know what I mean? It was very positive, and Amanda would liaise with the fans on a regular basis, and everything seemed so as if everybody was on board. Everybody was singing from the same hymn sheet. But now, it doesn't feel like that anymore. You looked at those two in the press box, in the director's box yesterday, Mitchell and Darren Eales. I mean, Eales just looks too smug for me. I kind of agree with a lot of fans that are saying that maybe, Eales and Mitchell, Eddie's not their man and they're just waiting for an opportunity to pull the trigger on Eddie. Eddie hasn't helped himself by his team selections, but it's very, very weird. We got a super chat coming from Spike Milligan. Thanks, Spike. That game was worse than a shit show. One or two players would get more than a 5 rating. David H., thank you for yours. Hi, love the show. 1, why is so much of our ball distribution through Burn? And 2, am I right in thinking Gordon has blanked Barnes all season? Well, we'll come on to Anthony Gordon because he's definitely a talking point. Absolutely no doubt in my mind that he needs to be spoken about tonight, and not necessarily in a positive way. But look, a few people, Billy, have said, oh, yeah, but it's one defeat, which it is. There's no denying that is fact. We've only lost one game this season. What I think a lot of people are missing, Billy, is the fact that we haven't played well at all, and this was coming. And it was only a matter of time before we couldn't get out of jail with wonder goals.
We haven't played well all season. Let's be honest. Every single game we've been nowhere near our best. Nowhere near. And yesterday we got punished for it, which potentially Southampton could have done. Bournemouth certainly could have done it. Spurs could have done it. And Wolves could have done it. Chances they've all had against us. Pope's had a good game and kept us in certain games. Defenders have done last gas tackles, but we've not been in control of any of these games for a sustained length of time. And I guess looking back on it now in hindsight, it's all right us shouting 3-0, 3-1, 2-0 every week. We've got to start being a bit more realistic, I think, with the way we're playing at the minute.
Yeah. Trolls, thank you for your super chat. Trolls said, Howe doesn't learn. It's time for a change. JT Toon says, I want Eddie to adapt, stay with us win a few trophies, but I think he is in his final months as manager. Usually when this happens, the manager gets the sharp end, unfortunately. I have to agree with that. Ian Fleming, thank you for your super chat. I'm not saying Howe out yet, but if performances don't improve, I think PIF might make some changes. They want us challenging for trophies. Now, a lot of people who've sort of defended Eddie over the last 24 hours, Billy, have said that, including Luke Edwards, which I was astounded by, his tweet saying that, look what he's done for the football club. Now, that's all fine and well. Eddie will always be remembered for for keeping us up, for getting us in the Champions League, for finishing 7th. But we all know that football is a seriously cutthroat game, Billy, and you can't live in the past, especially when you're a manager. It doesn't matter what you've done in previous seasons. If the current season that you're in right now is not going well, the manager will get the brunt of it, and he will lose his job.
He's not helping himself either, though, is he? I mean, selection of teams, having Sandro Tonali sat on the bench the last 2 weeks, 1 week while Sean Longstaff played. Yesterday, we had 2 left-sided number 8s playing, no right-sided number 8, and Sandro Tonali sat on the bench. Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
For me, it's not going to be doing Tonali any good. Keith Truscott, a member for 24 months. Thank you, Keith. The fact we have been below par this season says to me something is wrong. No idea what, but we all can see it's as clear as day. And you know what? I think the majority of fans know that something isn't quite right. David, who's a Fulham fan. Good evening, David. Watching from Spain, I thought in the first half lacked intensity. Better in the second half. As the game went on, Fulham found a way back. Several Newcastle players seemed to lose interest. Now, that's from a Fulham fan. And saying that several players lost interest. We've been saying that for a while. Most of the season that some players don't look interested at all. Garant says it looked from the outside like Gordon threw his toys out of the pram because he had to play on the right. Schultz says, I've had enough of how he keeps playing players that's out of form and leaves Tonali, a class player, on the bench. Well, I do want to pick that point up, actually, Billy, because in his press conference, he was talking about Harvey Barnes and saying that, Barnes has to perform to keep himself in the first 11. And he says that goes across the board for all the players. So why is he consistently playing players who are out of form? It's worrying me, Billy, that it's not just a couple of players. It's nigh on the whole 11 that aren't playing very well, and there doesn't seem to be any cohesion on that pitch. The passing's all over the place. Yesterday, when we were 2 goals down, we're still walking it out from the back four. We're not looking intense at all. And there was a couple of fans commented on my reaction video last night, Billy, that saying similar to what the other Fulham fans said there, that they were very surprised at the lack of intensity from Newcastle that they've seen at Craven Cottage over the last couple of years and been very difficult to play against. Newcastle the players just didn't seem bothered.
I agree with that.
And if that's coming from opposition fans, Billy, that has to be a worry.
Fabian Schär for one, Bruno for another. So to a lesser extent, Joe Linton, but Gordon certainly. Isak another one. It's worrying. It is worrying. But a lot of this goes back to me, to Eddie Howe not wanting a number 6 in the club. He wants to play 4-3-3 with a responsible number 6 in front of the back four. Bruno isn't that man. Bruno can't do that. We saw with the third goal yesterday. I know we were trying to push for a goal late on, but I mean, what he did yesterday for the last goal was unforgivable, really. It was terrible.
Yeah, just
a number 6.
We still don't even know who he was trying to pass to.
No, it was just a total brain fart from him. And he's a fantastic player, my favourite player. But he's not been a captain, has he? Let's be honest. And he's not even a number 6. Eddie Howe refused to buy number 6. Say we have 3 in the club, when in reality we don't have any. Is another reason why we look so susceptible at the back. I've got to be honest.
And you have to be worried about next weekend, Billy, because although Man City did scramble back to a draw today, they're a wounded animal today, and they will come at us. It's horrendous unless we do something at Wimbledon that's going to really get this morale and confidence back. It's frightening. We've got a super chat in from Graham Sinclair. Thank you, Graham. The question, if Howe goes, who comes in? Good managers are very thin on the ground. Just look at Cartel recent appointments. None had a track record. Nick Thornton, thank you for your super chat. Eddie mismanaged the squad for the entirety of last season and is doing the exact same thing this season. 1 defeat, but 5 shite performances. And you know what? I'm not subscribing, Billy, to this. Oh, yes, but we've got 10 points, right? Yes, we've praised the players for the way they fought back in games. But why are we having to do that in every single game and score wonder goals to get us out of the shit? And we were in the shit yesterday, and the wonder goals didn't happen because most of that team just didn't bother turning up. And it seemed to me when that first goal went in, some of the attitudes of some of the players stunk the place out. We'll come on to Anthony Gordon in a second because, I love Anthony Gordon, but I'm going to be very critical of him tonight because how can I not be? What I watched on that pitch yesterday. Keith Truscott, thank you for a super chat. It's also frustrating that we won't know either, as Eddie never says anything and the reporters don't know how to ask pertinent questions. Instead, want to know about stupid stuff. I'm sick of not knowing. Well, we'll never will, to be honest. But we have to, Billy, talk about Anthony Gordon because, this for me is one of the most big things that came out of that game yesterday, or lack of performance from Anthony Gordon, shall we say. He was dreadful yesterday, and not just dreadful on the ball. He had one good run, which was in the second half, and hit a brilliant left foot shot, which was well saved. However, his body language yesterday, Billy, was massively off. His work rate was diabolical, and I'll back that up by an incident in the first half that you'll remember when he took the ball down, took a little bit of a heavy touch, and started to run away from him, and he stopped. And he just I think it was Tete, just let him run the ball out of play. I thought that was disgraceful. And look, I'm not bothered, right? If his head's been turned and he wants to be away, let him go in January, okay? But I saw an Anthony Gordon yesterday, Billy, that worried me because it looked like the Anthony Gordon that was at Everton in his last couple of months at Everton when he just didn't bother. And that worried me more than anything yesterday. Now, whether it's the England situation or what happened in the summers rocked his confidence a little bit, fine. But just because you're not very confident at the minute does not excuse you from work rate. It just doesn't.
I think Anthony Gordon was happy in a happy camp when Amanda was here. Towards the end of the PSR, where the PSR dates finished, every player in that squad seemed to be hawked about to be sold so we could avoid this PSR points deduction. And Anthony Gordon's was one of the names mentioned, wasn't it? And I know it's only rumours in the press and stuff, but players read this. It wasn't just him. Obviously, there was talk about Bruno and Isak. In the end, we sold Anderson, who was his best mate, and Minte, obviously, you wouldn't know. But it's just that the whole camp seems to be under a shadow at the minute, and a lot of that's down to Amanda not being there. Eddie Howe's refusal he doesn't like working to me under a director of football. He didn't seem to get on with Ashworth. He doesn't seem to get on with Mitchell. He's never had to do it before, and he wants whether he wants total control of the team or of the sides and all that stuff. It seems like that from the outside looking in, I've got to say. Yeah. And so all of this kind of adds into the players' feelings, how things are. None of them are playing with a smile on their face. Not one of them. Not one of them, which is something we had for 2 seasons previous to that. It's all the club's under a malaise at the moment. And I think the Saudis need to do something forthright and just be not desperate as such, not panicking, but make a positive move. Give Eddie full control. If you don't want to have a director of football, then get rid of one. Don't have one. If you want to give Eddie Howe full control, but to me, I don't think they'll do that.
But they don't want Eddie Howe to have control, Billy. That's the whole point of who they brought in here.
This is it. And that's Paul Mitchell, we know, is an elite director of football. So I just fear for Eddie Howe. I think it's
I agree.
His days numbered for me.
Abhishek, thank you for your super chat. Hi, big NUFC fan from India. Want to ask your opinion on Hayden being left out of the 25-player squad. I think Eddie could have improved him. He is a CDM. Abhishek, to be honest, I think going back to Isaac Hayden would be criminal. To be honest, his days have long gone from being a Newcastle United player. Yes, if Hayden was a bit younger and the Hayden that we saw a few seasons back, absolutely. But he's not. He's not now. Ryan, one of our mods, of course, member for 30 months as well. Thank you very much, Ryan. I got the question whether PIF actually want to be number one or are just here for the profit. If FFP and PSR is an issue, then challenge it. Be open with the fans. Keith Truscott's put in another super chat. Amanda linked to Tottenham, apparently. Not sure in what capacity, though.
She's absolutely declared bankrupt, so she shouldn't be allowed to buy any shares in the football club anyway.
Yeah, she's by all accounts anyway, isn't it? It's not been a great few months for Amanda. Philip says, agree, Paul. No point in keeping a happy player. Kit Cole says, watch City versus Arsenal compared to us was chalk and fermented milk. They were all skill, intensity, and desire. We were all Steve Bruce, not Bruce Lee. Look, Manchester City, that game I have to applaud Arsenal as well, though, because what a fantastic defensive display they put up in that second half. I mean, they were like warriors. And Saliba and Gabriel, Billy, I mean, what a pair they are, centre-backs. They are just incredible players. But Man City, again, they never give up. They kept going. Rhea made some fantastic saves, catches from the box. Those two teams are way, way clear of what anybody else, and maybe Liverpool are catching them. But compared to us, I mean...
Play a different game, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just a million miles away. But none of those players' attitudes come into question today, whereas ours yesterday, you have to question the players' attitudes. And it's okay saying Eddie should have done this, Eddie should have done that. Yes, we will talk about Eddie Howe later on in the show in more detail. But when those players go over that white line, Billy, and it's a cliche again, but we were all saying before the game that we were happy with that. It looked like a really attacking team, that we were going to take the game to Fulham. Yes, disappointment that Tonali's not in the side, but we have, Gordon, Barnes, Isak, And then we've got a midfield with Willock in it, Joe Linton still there, Bruno. And we just looked second best all of the 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, even Joe's levels improved a little bit for me. I mean, he wasn't that bad first half, I don't think. He got a lot of criticism on the chat, and Saturday was quite scathing of him. I didn't think he was that bad first half, nor was Joe Willock. But Bruno was bloody awful, just not doing anything. He's just not inspiring the team, which I find it hard to believe because he's that kind of player. He's an inspirational player. Yesterday, he was just dreadful. He was just dreadful. And if the heart of your team, and Shea was another one of the leadership, just didn't seem to want to be there. Didn't want to defend anyway, certainly. More concerned about getting upfield and trying to get us on the front foot. But defence is what he's in the side for. Yeah. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do
Absolutely.
it. It was awful.
We've got a super chat in from Baz Leng. Thank you, Baz. The director's box, where it used to be Amanda, Mate, Dad, Jamie Rubin, it's now the dour suits of Eels and Mitchell and Bunce. We've definitely lost the spirit of unity, and it's reflected on the field. Andy, I agree with this comment, Andy, about Miggy. Yeah, when he plays like shit, he still tries. And his attitude is, and I will back Miggy up for that. Even when things aren't going well for him, one thing you can never accuse Miggy of is giving up. And a lot of those players on the field for us yesterday gave up. We got a bit of a lifeline when Harvey scored just after half time, put a bit of pressure on. But then you look at that Fabian Schär miss, Billy, and that just said it all for me, the attitude of him in that game yesterday. And I don't give him monkey's chuff whether he's a centre-back or not. I cannot abide people saying, well, he's a centre-back. He's a professional footballer shooting from 6 yards out with practically an open goal, and he misses the target. There is no excuse for that, because it's all right saying, he bangs them in from 35, 40 yards, but 6 yards out yesterday, he could have just tapped that in past Leno, no problem at all, and it's 2-2, and the game could have been completely different after that. Yet he shot wide. I cannot and still cannot believe he missed that.
Well, first, I don't think that was a case of his attitude let him down, because he actually did win the ball in the first place, didn't he? He was the one on the high press, amazingly enough. And I know we're trying to get an equaliser and pushing up the pitch, but he did do that. Once he's done that, what is he doing? It rushed blood to the head. All he has to do is either place it into the far corner or just tap it to his left, where he's actually standing unmarked, tap into an empty net. It should be a goal 99.5 times out of 100. That's how easy it was. It was shocking, absolutely shocking. Couldn't believe it. And I think someone did it today as well. Can't think who it was, or was it yesterday? Someone else did the same thing and missed from a kind of similar sort of place. But Fabian Schär, we know he can score from outside the box, but good grief, what he was doing yesterday. Just panic, didn't he? Snatched. What he's got to do is, to me, it's an easy pass.
My internet's gone a bit funny or fuzzy, but I'm still with you. Nick Thornton, thank you for your super chat. We have had two sporting directors, and Howe has fallen out with both of them. He's backing himself into a corner. Yes, he is. But I also want to talk about Mr. Isak, Billy, because he was a doubt for yesterday's game. Many people thought that was maybe Eddie just being Eddie and trying to put people off and Marco Silva, etc. But he's given us absolute wank at the minute. And I you know what? I'm going to criticize him. I don't care if he's Alexander Isak, but he has been garbage this season, nothing short of it. And again, what is going on in his head? And why is he just strolling around the pitch? His first touch is dreadful. He doesn't jump for headers. I mean, what on earth is going on? He looks a shadow of himself that played for us last season, and a shadow of the guy that pulled on a Sweden top a couple of weeks ago.
It just looks from the outside in, again, as though he's lost the dressing room, doesn't it? When you've got players...
Well, you know what? A lot of people said that, yeah.
When you've seen players not putting in the commitment that they used to do, it's just a massive malaise within the club, and it's obvious to look at. It's obvious to look at. But the manager doesn't help himself by not picking his best side. At the end of the day, he's there to get results for us with the squad he's got. And if he's hindered himself by not playing his best players, then I've got a little sympathy for him, I've got to say.
I mean, obviously, Eddie will have another press conference tomorrow morning, Billy, ahead of the Wimbledon game. And I just pray. I really do just pray that he has asked some really difficult questions in there that he's got to answer. Because I want to know why he's sitting Tonali on his ass. And I want a reporter to go in there tomorrow and have the brass balls to sit there and say, what on earth is going on with Sandro Tonali? Because the Italian manager deemed him fit enough to play 2 full 90 minutes a couple of weeks ago, yet you deem him not fit to start the last couple of games since coming back from international duty.
Or worse than that, not good enough to start the last 2 games.
Well, absolutely.
Fit enough.
And he comes on to yesterday, you know, what was it, 17 minutes? I mean, we were saying before the game, I mean, I think you said, oh, you'll come on for half an hour. That's what we were all expecting. But we didn't see him until 17 minutes to go in the sudden game. And those questions, you know, they are the things that annoy me about Eddie Howe. Because you're looking at one of the best players in the Italy squad, if not the best player. He's a leader, he's a worker, and he sits him on his arse the last 2 Premier League games on the bench. Yet an Italian manager says, go on, Sandro, do your stuff, and he went and did it. He can't get a start for Newcastle United ahead of Longstaff or Joe Willock. What the fuck?
There's no answer to that, is there? Does you seriously can't? No one, I don't think anyone in the chat could even say Sandro Tonali shouldn't have played the last 2 games. Because he should have. 100% he should have.
Yep. There's no doubt. And, you know, if there is anybody that says that has a reason why Sandro's not in the team, please put your reasons in the chat, because I don't think there'll be many. I really don't. I have no idea how you cannot play your best players in the Premier League. We're not Man City. We don't have a second 11 that we can just put out and destroy teams as well. We're not anywhere near Arsenal's squad either. If we want to be in that elite bracket in the Premier League, we have a chance this season to really take the Premier League by storm, because we're not in Europe. We've got lots of time to rest players. And yes, we can rotate in the Carabao, by all means, make a couple of changes. But in the Premier League, I mean, we were all licking our lips at the thought of a midfield of Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno. And we thought, we even said, where is there a better midfield than 3 of those players?
Yeah,
but we haven't seen them yet. We're just not seeing it.
But none of them are number 6. That's the problem. And he's never wanted that. He's never wanted a number 6. He said we had 3 number 6s, and he named them Longstaff, Bruno, and Tonali. To me, none of them were 6s. None of them. Maybe in a double pivot, Bruno could. Maybe Tonali and Bruno could work in a double pivot, but not as a single 6 in front of the back 4. 100% not. So you can question his tactics, you can question his formation, you can even question his selections. Eddie Howe's not managing the team right at the minute, and I don't think he managed it right last season either with the rotation of the squad. It's not been a good for me. The last 12 months for Eddie Howe hasn't been great.
Claire says Isak isn't getting service, but he is lazy at times. Tangy says Isak is not a centre forward, but because we have too many left-sided players, he has to. Look, when he was at Sociedad, we all know that he was a left-sided forward, cutting in, scoring loads of goals. He tends to do that for Sweden as well. But look, I'm not talking about getting chances or anything like that, okay? What I'm talking about with Isak is his work rate and his touch and his passing. You look at Isak this season, he doesn't bother jumping for headers. His first touch has been absolutely shocking. If you look, when the ball comes to him, it ricochets off him and disappears 99% of the time. And then you look at his work rate as well. It's not there. Now, I don't know whether he's carrying an injury or what, but I think that's an easy out for players these days. Or he's carrying a little bit of a knock, he can't run very quick. But if that's the case, then don't play him. I'd rather see a Sula on the pitch than an injured Isak scrambling around doing nothing. Well, it's bordering on, I mean, it's criminal at times.
I think you can put Fabian Schär and Alexander Isak in the same kind of box, because neither have got any realistic competition at the precise moment in time because of injuries or whatever. Alexander Isak, we saw with the Suda, we didn't really want to bring him on yesterday. I was surprised when he did, to be honest. But Eddie Howe didn't see him as a direct competitor to Alexander Isak. Callum Wilson, maybe. And when Callum Wilson's fit, we genuinely when you see the best of Alexander Isak, and vice versa. Shares another one. No, I mean, Emil Kraft plays because he has to. But if Jamal Lascelles is fit, then he's got another opportunity to kind of swap and change. Fabian Schär's a shoo-in for every selection we make. So there's no competition there. So they've got nothing to fight for, nothing to, because they know they're going to be playing the following week.
Yeah, and that may be a huge problem. But that's what he did discuss on Friday morning in his press conference, Billy. He did say that, you know, the competition for places in the midfield is fierce right now. But I'm sorry. If the competition is fierce and you're still leaving Sandro Tonali out of the side, you have to answer serious questions about that. And if he does not start the game against Manchester City, Billy, irrelevant whether he starts against Wimbledon, but if he does not start the game against Manchester City, then I don't know whether he's making a point to somebody or he's just being stubborn. But it will if he does not play Tonali against Manchester City, there is a serious problem going on. Because how you cannot look at Sandro Tonali and think he is not right to start against Manchester City, then it's unforgivable in my eyes, Bill.
Yeah, and it's almost chucking him in at the deep end, though, isn't it? You'd rather have had him a game or two before.
Yeah, but Billy, we've seen him play for Italy.
I agree.
He'd love it. He'd love that game.
I think he'll play against Wimbledon as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he skipped the side.
Yeah. Dark by Design says Eddie can't concentrate on the training. Can he? He's got Bunce the Dunce watching over his every move.
Well, he's just after last season's injuries, where he kept playing players that were injured. I don't blame James Bunce for looking at it. It's not James Bunce. Keep calling him James Bunce. Bunce is looking at him as every move because that's what he's there to do.
Trevor says, do you think these players come to Newcastle as a stepping stone to bigger clubs, and the fact that Liverpool wanted Gordon and we didn't sell could be affecting the players? Isak, Gordon and Bruno all linked with moves away. Not really. Nick Thornton, thank you for another super chat. Is it because Tonali is Ashworth's player? Agent Tech Streams has been a member for 9 months. Thank you very much, my friend. The players were the issue, not formation. Tonali aside, Eales and Mitchell need to go. ADB says, put it this way, we have had that many left-sided decent players. If Wilson was fit a lot, where would you play Isak? Left, yes, so that means Barnes and Gordon would not be needed.
I mean, I think some of the signings we've made have been daft. I mean, Harvey Barnes has been our best player this year, no doubt about it. But did we really need a left-sided midfielder, winger-type player? I don't think we did. We had Gordon, we had Joe Linton, all can play there. So why did we buy Harvey Barnes at that time when we could have spent the money on somewhere else that we needed a six, a centre-half, a right winger? Some of the transfer policy to me, whether that's down to Eddie Howe or Dan Ashworth or, well, not Paul Mitchell, who's not really had a chance, but why are we buying left wingers when we've already got one and two that can play there, rather than one centre-half, one number six? You know. But Bradley obviously is our best player this season, but just the whole planning of things doesn't seem right to me. It's lopsided. It's top heavy in certain positions.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people made a comment yesterday, Billy, at half time that Howe was walking off with Anthony Gordon with his arm around him. Now, I'm sorry, but there's a time to put an arm around a player and give a player a stripping down. That was not a time for me to put an arm around a player. It just not at all. Not in full view of everybody. I thought it was bang wrong. Anyway, I've put a poll up on the screen now, guys, if you want to have a look at it. Does it look like Howe has lost the dressing room? Now, I'm not saying he has. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just putting it out there to you guys for your opinion. Does it look like he's lost the dressing room? If you look at that performance yesterday and the performances all season, realistically, yes, we've got out of jail once or twice. Does it look like he's lost the dressing room? Get voting now, because it's a good poll, this, Billy, because it gives you an idea where fans are thinking. Because I'm seeing a lot of people, and this is what worries me as well, Billy, a lot of people commenting in the comments that the players look disinterested. And that's never been something we've even questioned since the takeover and since Eddie's come in. We've never, ever questioned their desire and their, we've never said not one of them looked disinterested. We've Yeah, they've had bad games, etc., but disinterested. That's what worries me, because a lot of fans are picking up on it, Bill.
Well, you can see it, can't you? They just don't look happy. They don't look. They always play with a smile on the face. They always played up front football. Even last season, to a certain extent, even when they were knackered, they tried to press. Certain games they didn't. Brighton, Bournemouth, Everton away, the three that I remember, Spurs away. But this season, in every single game, we've not looked at it. There've been certain periods of the game where we've pushed and pressed, but not often, nowhere near often enough. And the reason we got to fourth in that season was because of the press. Teams didn't know how to deal with it. We don't do it anymore. I just don't get it.
A lot of people have said that we've been worked out, and we just don't have another plan. There's no plan B. There's no plan C. There's nothing like that would sort of sit you back and think, hey, don't worry. We'll have something in hand. Something will happen. I'm sure. We'll change something. Now, listen. Credit Eddie yesterday. He changed it at halftime, and he tweaked the tactics a little bit, and it worked. Fulham were all over the place for the first 10 minutes of the second half because they didn't expect us to play like that. We scored a brilliant goal. Jacob Murphy came on, did well. Harvey Barnes' finish yesterday was just typical of the way Harvey Barnes' confidence is right now. He's one of those players that is up there now. His confidence is sky high. Toon Dave, who's been a member for an incredible 32 months. Thank you very much, Dave. Evening, chaps. The lack of cohesion, desire, and fight is worrying. We need a hell of a result on Tuesday. Otherwise, next weekend is going to be a walkover. Next weekend, I mean...
It's all about attitude and performance for me, because even at our best, can we beat Man City? It's going to be a push. We're going to have to play at our very best, and they're going to have to lack a few things. But it's about attitude and performance for me.
And if that's not there, you may as well write the game off. Alan says,
you may be writing the game off anyway. In my head, I've written the game off anyway. But at least with a bit of passion, fight, attacking intent, and decent attitude is something we haven't seen really this season yet. And I want to see it against Man City.
Alan says they stroll around because they don't give a shit, Paul. Are some of these looking for moves away from the Toon? Shocking why Tonali doesn't start. Comes on for 15 minutes, can't warm up. Look...
Yeah, but the thing is, Alan, half the squad have been kind of hawked out for sale in the summer.
But Billy, the thing is,
Isak, Gordon, you can understand why. They thought they were settled. It was a happy club. Everyone was in the same pot together. And then because of PSR, they've all been hawked out left, right, and centre. Bruno, Isak.
But what I will say, Billy, is if they do want away, they're not doing themselves any favours. No. If you're wanting away and you've got other clubs looking at this situation and thinking, well, look at their attitudes on the pitch. If we don't want players like that at our club, if you want to move away, then play to your very best ability and attract the other clubs, and then sort it out when the transfer window's open. But don't just sulk on the pitch and think, oh, you wanted rid of me. Why should I bother playing? You're earning thousands of pounds at the football club. You're still employed by Newcastle United. So go out there and do something. At least try. And that's for me. If you're not in form, fair enough. If your form's a bit up and down, but the not trying is just unforgivable. And you're not doing yourself any favours to get moves away, Billy, because the other people will look at this and think, especially with Anthony Gordon, look how it ended at Everton. Is it going to end that way at Newcastle United because he's sulking over something? What does that say about Anthony Gordon? Two clubs in a row.
No, I think there'll be big clubs after Anthony Gordon, whether how he behaves or not, I'll be honest.
Well, yes, there will. We know there will. But you know what I'm saying, Billy? Some clubs will look at that and think, Super chatting from Coach Austin. Thank you, mate. That team yesterday should be sat to watch the All Balls do the hacker against Australia. They're prepared to leave it all on the field and die out there. Shame on you players yesterday. Strong. Another one, he meant All Blacks, not All Balls. I was going to say, who the hell are the All Balls? The All Blacks, of course. Indeed. Jilly says, honestly, I'm just sick to death of Eddie's way of playing his players. Our back four changes every game. How can understanding be formed? This was mentioned a couple of times by a lot of people in the chat last week. saying that if we're continuing to change the back four, I did say it doesn't really matter about the way the full-backs. Maybe the centre-backs need more cohesion, but perhaps that is a thing. Wimbledon is Longstaff's level, and Howe knows that, which is why he'll get to Sandro's place on Wednesday.
I think they both play.
Yeah. Ab says, to be fair, I haven't been many weeks when Billy wasn't calling for Eddie to be sacked. He was comparing with Bruce when we finished top 4.
No, I wasn't.
Definitely
last season I did.
Last season he did, yeah.
And I'm doing it now as well because his team selection has been god awful. And even he admits it himself with his lifetime substitutes in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Basically saying I got it wrong.
Abs, you can't defend yesterday, and that's what we're doing today. It's the match review.
I don't want him sacked either, incidentally.
Well, I'm not at that point yet either. But if he continues going down the line of what he's doing or not doing, then I'm sorry, a lot of fans will turn. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, I'm probably nearer than most are, but I think he deserves a chance to put it right. But I don't think he's going to do. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's able to do it because of the atmosphere in the club, which isn't really his fault. But there you go.
C15 Rise, there's no way Eddie listens to the fans anyway, about substitutions or anything like that. He's his own man. You're saying there that he's listening to the fans and making subs. It's got nothing to do with the fans. Go here, man. A football manager listens to the fans, he'd be in big trouble. Yes, we as fans will have our opinions, we'll have our criticisms. Of course we will. But a football manager in the Premier League is not going to listen to the fans and think, oh, the fans said I should maybe make some substitutes a bit earlier, so I'll do that. He's had to make substitutes at half-time in the last 2 games because he's got the starting 11 wrong. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
He's putting right his original mistake.
Yep.
That's why he's made the changes at half-time, not because the fans have demanded it. It's because he's got the starting lineups wrong. Use your eyes. See what's actually happening there. It's nothing to do with the fans, man. Evermore, Chris, good evening. Thanks again for the shout-out on your live match. We got to engage with a lot of your wonderful subs on Saturday night. That's good to hear, Chris. Mark says, I love Sandro Tonali as a player, but he must be saying to himself, what do I have to do to play football at Newcastle United? Or should I sit on my bottom and not get a chance? Abacus says, wait almost a year for him and then we bench him.
And that's the point, isn't it? While he's not playing, I want him playing so he's concentrating on playing football. And if he is concentrating on playing football, things don't come into his head. I don't think you treat him right by keeping him on the bench week in, week out. I've got to be honest. I think it's awful management. I really do.
Look at this. Look at this. He played everyone you asked for but Tonali and it crumbled. You need to stop questioning the manager when one game you all put pressure on him to start Willock Barnes and we crumble.
I thought Willock and Barnes are my best 2 players. Our best 2 players, to be honest with you. 2 of the best, anyway.
Yeah. We're questioning the desire from the players as well.
Some people, Eddie Howe just can't do anything wrong, and they're living on top 4 2 seasons ago. Since then, it's been sometimes it's been really good, but a lot of the time it hasn't. And at the moment, this season, despite us having 10 points and we were playing for top of the league yesterday, it hasn't been good in any of the games. So come on, you need to open your eyes a bit.
Ab says, lost the dressing room is one of those 2 + 2 = 7 million garbage fans come out with when the team loses. Right. I understand, right? And I said this at the start of the show. It is one game that we've lost, okay? One game. However, people need to take their flowery blinkers off and look at the performances and think, right, have we played well in any... When was the last time we actually played well? Ask yourselves that. But take your bloody blinkers off and look at the more in-depth view of things and say to yourself, right, something is not clicking in that team. Some of the players' attitudes are completely wrong with the body language. You can see that. Everyone has eyes, unless, unfortunately, you have a disability and you can't see. But the people that can look at the screen and think, hey, his body language is shocking. And Gordon's was terrible yesterday. One of the worst I've seen in a while. Fabian Schär had one of those I can't be asked games. It's not... People need to stop saying, oh, we've only lost one game. This game was coming. It's been coming since the start of the season because we've been garbage. And wonder goals have got us out of jail. since the start of the season. And we cannot keep relying on that. Otherwise, we will be in big, big trouble. Something is not right in that team. Something is not right behind the scenes. But I'm not going to say there's a civil war or anything. I think something just needs sorting out. Or the players need a rocket up their asses instead of arms around the shoulders and say, right, you play for Newcastle United. You pull on that black and white shirt. You bleed blood for that football club. You bleed blood for the badge. You bleed blood for the fans. Somebody needs to take a stance and actually have a say in the dressing room and start bollocking people, because whatever's going on is not good enough. We can't rely on 40-yard strikes every game to get us out of this shit. I don't know what you think, Billy, but I just... Yes, we've only lost one game, but that's an easy excuse and it's papering over the cracks.
Without a doubt. I just don't see any substance in the way we play anymore. You know, I just don't see any style, any specific way of getting behind teams. There's no substance to what we do. It's just all bitty. We play for little sections of the game every week. 5 minutes here and there, 10 minutes here and there. That's not what we were about, or what we were about 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
You know, we used to dominate teams. We're not doing it now, and I don't understand why. Because we've got a better squad.
If I asked any of you out there watching now what Newcastle United's identity is this season,
at the minute, it's abject mediocrity. That's what I think.
You know, we used to say that intensity is our identity. Well, where's the intensity? Because I'm not seeing it on the football pitch. I want to see that intensity back. I want to see players working to close opposition down, win the ball back, buzz around them like rabid dogs to get the ball back and go on the attack. Where is all that? Because I'm certainly not seeing it, and the majority of Newcastle fans aren't seeing it. Yes, we'll always have Newcastle fans that'll come and say, oh, you're just being negative, and, you know, we've only lost one game. But, you know, we're talking honestly here about yesterday's performance was coming because the season has been terrible so far. We've picked up points, but we've been lucky. And nobody can argue with that. We've been lucky. And the luck ran out yesterday. And it's how we respond to that in the next few games, because our next load of Premier League games, fucking hell. I mean, we've got some big teams to play against.
I mean,
and it's not going to be easy.
This intensity thing, is it Eddie Howe's told them to stop doing it, or are they just not prepared to do it anymore? I mean, either way, it ain't good.
Well, I mean, something ain't good. Something's completely going wrong. A few super chats come in there. Len Simmons, it's not going to happen, but imagine if we beat City next Saturday, all will be forgotten, if only. Connor, thank you for yours. Guys need a number 6, ditch 4-3-3. Discuss, please. Look, we've tried to discuss 4-3-3. We've tried to discuss it a million times, but unfortunately, it never changes. And Eddie says that, yes, in the 4-3-3s, we do tweak the system a little bit. He tweaks his tactics, but it's not working. And it's not working. And maybe it is about time that we changed the identity of a 4-3-3 and tried something different. If it doesn't work, at least we can say we've tried. But plowing on with the same old, he's doing himself no favors. He's just not. Keith Truscott with another super chat. The trouble is we have been sold on glory, but honestly, right now we are a mid-table side. For me, still too many Bruce players due to PSR shite. Chippers, thank you for your super chat. Hurts me to say it. We are spunking results like Man United did all last season, and we took the piss out of them.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, I've thought that for the past, certainly last week and the week before. Yeah.
I mean, look, I'd love to sit here, guys, and so would Billy, and love to sit here and go, wow, you know, we are playing so well. We're over that. Look how passionate me and Billy get in the commentary when we score goals and stuff, man. We bleed black and white, man. And we just, and Chris at Evermore, he's another one, leaves his heart on his sleeve, right, and speaks the truth, right, and gives his honest opinion. And what we're seeing on the pitch at the minute is worrying. It's not good enough. It just isn't good enough. And I'm certainly, people know me well enough by now who've watched this channel for years and years, know that I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up players' asses when they certainly don't deserve it. And I will criticize because as a fan, that's my right to do that. Am I a football manager? Absolutely not. But I've followed Newcastle all my life. That gives me an opinion, and I'm allowed to share that opinion, just like you guys are as well. We all don't have to agree with each other's opinions, but that's just life. But I tell you what, I'm going to tell it how it is, and so will Billy, so will Stato, so will Sam. And the majority of people watching will say the same thing as well. It's not good enough right now, and just because we've scraped through getting points, these next few games in the Premier League will tell us exactly where we're at, believe me, because we won't be able to scrape through games against the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City, etc. You just can't. So we'll see where we are. We'll have a look at the player ratings now, Billy. Keith's just sent in another super chat. Honestly, I don't care that we lose games. It happens, but it's how we lose that counts. Peter McCardle, thank you for yours. Hand on heart, do you think Eddie will lose his job?
I think while the
right
England
now,
job's
yes.
available,
If I'm being openly honest, I think if we are being honest, Billy, if this continues, yes.
I don't
because
think
he's doing himself no favours.
I don't think we manage at Christmas.
I don't think, and it's maybe not Eddie's doing, but I don't think that the people above him want him as manager. And that for me is the hardest thing for any of us to deal with, because we're used to Amanda and me, Dad. Eddie knew he had their full support. There was unity throughout the club. You could tell that, and you could tell they had a great relationship. But you're not seeing that now. Things are very, very different, and I know football clubs have to move on. And everybody, the bigwigs have all got their own men. And I don't think Eddie is a Mitchell and Neil's man. And I think that's already hit difficult ground. But Eddie's doing himself no favours.
I think he's gone either way. I think he'll go to England, and if not, I think he'll get the sack.
Well, if England come calling, then
he'll go. There's no way to turn it down. No way.
Yeah.
No one got to it.
I agree, and I don't think Newcastle will stop him.
No, of course they won't. But they can't.
It'll be a perfect opportunity for them
as well.
Yeah. Nick sent in a super chat saying, has Eddie's head been turned by the England job? I don't think it's been turned, but I think he'd be aware of it now. Whether there's been any little bit of contact, we'll never be privy to know that. But I genuinely believe that Eddie's high up on the FA's list. I honestly do. So for me, it's a matter of time. I mean, if Carsley said he doesn't want the job, hasn't he? He said that numerous times when England played the other week. So I think it could be Eddie's.
I've said it all along.
And I think it's a perfect get out for both parties, Newcastle United
100%.
And the manager himself. But I don't know. Anyway, let's look at this poll, Billy. So we asked you guys out there, does it look like Eddie Howe has lost the dressing room? What do you reckon, Billy?
80% yes, I'd say.
Well, it's a little bit closer than I thought. 60% said yes and 40% said no. But still, 60% of our viewers believe that Eddie's lost the dressing room. So, wow. But you can understand why some fans are feeling like that. And look, I'm not saying those fans are right, and the fans that say Eddie's the man are right as well. But we have to question what's going on here, and we have to question the team selections.
That's the question. It does look like that. The
players, if you didn't support, if you saw Newcastle for the first time yesterday, Billy, in them stands, and then you were asked at the end of the game, do those players look like they're playing for the manager or playing for the shirt for that matter? You would say no. And it's all right, the players going over to the fans at the end of the game and, getting the applause. They didn't deserve any yesterday. I mean, yes, they've got to come across and say thank you to the fans. But just say thank you and get off. Don't just stand there. What's the point? Abs is back with another comment. Quite pathetic that all the talk since last Christmas has been Eddie getting the sack. More toxic fan base than Man United.
Well, it hasn't all been the talk, has it? I mean,
no,
it's been talked about quite a lot because of the way we've played. Simple as that.
I look, at the end of the day, like I said, not everybody's going to have the same view, and there's always going to be people who will absolutely ravagely defend Eddie Howe, and that's fine. But me and Billy have both said tonight that we don't want Eddie Howe sacked. And I still want Eddie to win something at Newcastle United. I want him to be a hero. But if it's going backwards, then, we know football. We know what it's like. You don't look at sentimentality. There is no sentimentality in football, especially when it comes to football management. There's none at all. Anthony Stafford, thank you for your super chat. Who is a Mitchell and Eels man then? Well, that's a question we'd ask if that ever comes around. It certainly would be an interesting show to talk about. Absolutely it would. But at the minute, it's really pointless because Eddie Howe's the manager. And hopefully Eddie manages to turn this around and we then start seeing the benefits of Eddie Howe as manager. But it is now time to do the player ratings, Billy. There's only me and you here tonight, so we'll get Sam's and Alex's later for the database, of course. So we will start off with Nick Pope, Billy.
Well, he should have saved the second goal. No doubt about it. There just seems to be an issue with that shoulder again because it was just powder puff. We've seen it a few games where he's kind of gone down to that side and parried the ball in strange angles. One led to a goal the other week, didn't it? But however, he did saves on a couple of occasions. One more by luck than judgment. I'll give him a 4.
4 for Nick Pope. There's actually a lot of 4s and 5s coming in the chat. The more I see that second goal, Billy, I'm very confused by what he was trying to do. I mean, it's like he gave up before Smith Rowe even hit the ball.
Yeah.
He was just expecting to turn around and pick it out of the net. Which was very bizarre. And then when he realized it was quite close to him, he put his arm out to try and stop it. But by then he only got like a powder puff touch on it, and it still went in the back of the net. It was really strange
with his feet as well. I mean, Bruno, that when he put that ball across the goal, the pass to bloody Pope, that would have been the obvious thing. But is Bruno looking at Pope and thinking, "Christ, if I pass it to him, he's going to fuck it up"? You don't know, do you?
No. I've gone for a 4 as well, funny enough. But a lot of the chat, I'm not putting a man of the match poll up tonight.
Only one player that can be.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got 4 players to put on a poll for man of the match. No chance. Anyway, let's look at the right back. Kieran Trippier, Bill.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. Steady. Thought he was okay. 6.
Yeah. We were surprised he took him off, weren't we? I mean, I mean, look, Trippier was steady away. Look, whatever you say, our set pieces are balls right now, absolute balls. We just don't have anybody that is taking a very good set piece. We've got one, but he's on the bench getting spelks in his arse, unfortunately. So for me, I don't think Trippier did anything wrong yesterday. I don't understand why he used a substitute just to bring Livramento on, who ended up getting skinned about 4 times in the few minutes that he was on the pitch. It was bizarre.
Especially with Bruno having the kind of day he was having, you needed leadership on the pitch. I found it very strange that it took Trippier off.
Yeah. 6 for me as well. Okay, let's move to the left side. Lloyd Kelly, who only played 45.
Yeah. Again, it's that backing off issue, isn't it? It led to the first goal in certain ways. I think he's a centre half, and I'd like to see him play at centre half. I'd like to see him have a go at centre half next to Shea, if you like, or even next to Burn, have the 2 of them there.
Well, the thing is with Lloyd Kelly, Billy, he's got the passing range as well, hasn't he? That was the thing a lot of Bournemouth fans said. He's good at bringing the ball out and distribution, but he can't do that in left back. Not the pressure that we're under at the minute.
I think Stato had it right about him. He's a slightly better left back than Dan Burn is. But they're both centre halves. So,
yeah,
I'd like to see him have a go centre half. I don't think he's played centre half this year, has he?
No.
I
think he's played. I think he did in the Cellar Cup, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4.
Okay. Yeah, 4 for me as well. I mean, we're pretty straight on these ratings. Okay, Dan Burn, Billy
needs to get in. Eddie Howe needs to get him in and play head tennis with him for 2 hours a day. To get him heading in the right area. Yeah. Because he doesn't know how to head the ball. He might be 6'7", but his heading's awful. He makes mistakes, but he does sometimes rectify them. He can't fault him for heart, and yesterday he couldn't fault him for heart. One of the few that actually he couldn't. But his performance generally was pretty poor. I'll give him a 5.
He really does struggle with his headers. And look, clearances, fantastic, because most of the time, they go out to play. But if he tries a passing header, or certainly in the attacking box, I mean, Billy, you've referred to him as 50 pence head numerous times because when it hits his head, it flies off in different angles that you didn't think were possible.
Yeah.
And for me, that is a major problem with Dan Burn. And it has been ever since he's been at the club. I mean, you look at how is a guy 6'7" not scoring many headers from corners. He towers above the majority of players, yet can't get his head on the ball. It's fantastically weird. But I've gone for a 4.5 for Dan Burn. Right, Fabian Schär, Billy.
Well, we've said before that sometimes Fabian Schär goes on there not really looking like he gives a shit, and today was one of those occasions. And it's a massive thing for us. The two centre halves have got no pace between them. We get caught out for it time and time again. It's certainly not with a non-defensive number 6 in front of them. So Schär's attitude yesterday needed to be topped, and it wasn't. Had an absolute stink of a game defensively. I'll give it.
He really was all over the place defensively.
I'll give it 2.5.
Yeah. Well, I've given him a 2, Billy. So again, I understand why I'm seeing 4s and 5s. I'm just wondering why was he good enough for even a 4 yesterday? You know, because let's take his defensive performance out of it. That miss alone, and at the time of the game that miss occurred, when it could have put us level, and that could have just changed the whole attitude of everything. Yeah. You know, Fulham losing the 2-goal lead, their heads could have gone down. But the fact that he smashed it wide, Fulham then start to believe it's our day today. He's missed an absolute peach like that. It's our day. And it gives them a little more impetus to go again. Just dreadful. I hate seeing Fabian in that kind of mood because he's one of my favourite players. I love him, but I don't like it when he plays with this kind of I don't give a shit attitude. And unfortunately, we saw that yesterday. Bruno.
That's his worst game for Newcastle United, no doubt about it. My favourite player. I don't think I'll ever give him a low mark. But today there's going to be one because no inspiration. Really, really awful first half. Give him the goal as well. I'll give him a 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting 1s, 2s, and 3s in the chat. I never thought I'd see this, Billy. I
think I'm being generous with that as well. Because it's
I've gone 2.5. But I never thought, Billy, that I would see everyone in the chat with the scores that I'm seeing going through now for Bruno. It is absolutely unbelievable. Look, we have to ask the question, Billy. Is the captaincy affecting him? Because I don't think he's a captain. If I'm being openly honest, I don't think Bruno is a captain. I think there's other players on that football pitch who should be captain. Trippier should have had the armband yesterday. We all know that. Dan Burn is a better leader, in my opinion, than Bruno. I think Bruno should be left to get on with the game, and I think he was only given that captaincy because it was kind of to
keep him here.
A little incentive to keep him at the club.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't know if you've watched
it's sad that in a way. It's really sad.
Fans' reaction with us yesterday, and after the first goal, after the Jimenez goal, he said that I was quite laid back and said it how it was, really good. And then the third goal, I said, first thing I said was, get that fucking captaincy armband off him. He said, I'll take your mind.
I don't think it's working with Bruno's captain. You can see it. He's not. Just let him get on with what he's good at and what he's very, 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 very good at.
Well, when he plays well, he inspires anyway. So to have that captaincy armband on there doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Joe Linton, Billy.
I think he got unfairly pillaged. He looked good going forward. His touch seemed really good yesterday, actually. Good finish to the goal that was disallowed. Obviously, we can't count that as part of his mark, but honestly, I didn't think he was that bad. He got hooked at half-time. And maybe unfairly, I'm not sure. I'll give him a 5.
5 for Big Joe. Something is amiss with Big Joe this season. I mean, we haven't seen that. He seems to be getting really upset very, very quickly with things. He doesn't seem to keep his head in the game. Started off really well again yesterday, disallowed goal, but it was great movement into the box and got his own rebound and smashed it home. And you're thinking, yeah, he's up for that today. But how many times have we looked at players since the start of the season and said, yeah, they're up for it, and then just disappear? And, I'm not sure what goes on with Joe Linton. I love Big Joe. Everybody knows he's my favourite player. But I just think that there's something seriously missing, and maybe he just needs to sit the game out. But I've just seen a comment saying there from Colorado Magpies saying we're saying that about too many players now.
Well, that's it's the malaise over the club. Virtually the whole team looks like it's in the same boat with it, aren't they?
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
is why it's so kind of worrying.
I mean, the sign of a really professional player is, yes, you're getting hammered, but get on with the game. Concentrate on what you're doing. Get back at them by scoring goals or creating goals. Don't get back at them by getting up and pushing them over and getting silly yellow cards and stuff. I don't want to take Joe Linton's physicality out of his game, Billy, because I think that would ruin him. I think he's got into that mold now of a real battler in midfield, a real strong man, strong guy who takes no shit. And I don't want that to disappear from his game. But maybe, just accept that you're in that position. You're going to get hit a few times in the game. And dare I say it, let the referee deal with it, but they won't. But just deal with it in a different way by going on and creating goals and scoring goals. That's, for me, is the better way to do it.
Yeah. And LG's right there, actually. He could have got a yellow card yesterday for grabbing the keeper again.
He did. And we said it in commentary. What are you doing, Joe? Why are you even grabbing the keeper? Just get back in position. Crazy. Okay, Joe Willock, Billy.
Yeah, I thought he was unfairly took off at half-time. Another one. He looked the only one that was kind of getting back and getting little tackled in left, right and centre.
Yeah.
I didn't think playing with Gordon on his side helped him at all because he put Gordon through and Gordon gave up on it. And he was another time he went ahead of Gordon, winning the ball, and Gordon didn't give it him; he just lost it. And he went visibly a volley at him.
He battered Gordon for that, didn't he?
Yeah. So I felt sorry for Willett when he came off. So I'll give him a 5 as well, probably 5.5 actually.
I've given him a 6, Billy. Similar reasons to your score, to be honest, but I just thought he looks lively, but nobody around him was lively. And you could see him getting frustrated because he was making great runs, similar to Harvey Barnes. He was making some fantastic runs off the ball and just ignored. And then when he eventually was played in that one from Gordon, I mean, he absolutely ripped Gordon for that, and rightly so, because it was just a lazy pass. And that's what we're seeing too many times at the moment is lazy passes and passes that aren't hit with, the too soft, the just lazy balls. And it's starting to annoy the players who really want to get on the end of these passes and do something like, Joe and Harvey did yesterday. Very, very frustrating. Okay, let's move to the front three. We'll start with Anthony Gordon, Billy.
I think he did one good thing in the whole game, which was that run that he set up nicely by Isak and Murphy.
Yeah,
got the better of Anderson for the first time and only time in the game. Shot straight at the keeper, but that was it. And attitude was wrong. I'll give him a 0.5.
0.5. Wow. I mean, God, Jesus. I've given him a 1. I just thought he was dreadful, absolutely dreadful, and more so for his attitude, Billy. It's all right if things aren't quite working for you. You understand that, especially the position he plays. He's not going to be dynamite every game. He's going to try things that don't quite work. But if you can see him trying these things and still working hard, you forgive him for that because, we know what it's like in a winger position. But when you see him give up on passes, give up on just letting balls roll out of play, that's unforgivable for me. Whether you've got a beef with the club about, wanting to sell you or not, you're a professional footballer getting thousands of pounds. You do not show an attitude like that. I mean, that is just wrong. And he needs a big game if he's in the starting lineup against Man City, Billy. He really needs a big game.
I'd play against Wimbledon. I would make him play against Wimbledon.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
And Foxy's right. There was one period, and we highlighted it, where he gave the ball away, scored 5 times within a minute and a half, in different parts of the pitch, as if it wasn't good enough to give it away up the pitch. Give it away next.
The last one was unbelievable, Billy. When he hit that, when he left foot clearance was just powder puff straight to Anderson, and Anderson, and Anderson had a blasted goal, which Nick Pope. I mean, he did dive to his right, but it was comfortable height for him. But it was still made to save that when it really shouldn't have even occurred in the first place, but it did. Right, Isak, Billy.
I'll give him 2. I can't give any more. I don't think he did anything. But his attitude wasn't as bad as Gordon, so I'm going to give an extra 1.5 points for that. But I mean, did he do anything?
I'm sorry, Billy. I'm struggling with this. Gordon had moments when he closed down the opposition and led by example, and other moments when he looked mardy. I saw him once close the goalkeeper down, Abs. I mean, commentating on the game, I did not see leading by example is certainly not the words I'd use, but fair enough. What are you giving him for Isak, Billy?
I think a 2.
I've given him a 1 again. So that's 2 of our front 3. I've scored 1. And we laugh, Billy, but Jesus Christ. I mean, we want to give them 10s. We want to be celebrating performances, and it's depressing. Yeah. It's really depressing when you have to score your own team so low because you're questioning attitude, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, David T says he got no service, but there's no desire or passion. Yeah.
Certain players, they're not getting service. They go looking for the ball and try and
go and get it.
Do things themselves, but
nah, it doesn't happen. Dylan says, Abs, you're in denial if there's any positives from yesterday. Moments when he tried to get the team pressed, most of the time is awful. Yeah, he did a couple of times run at the goalkeeper, but nowhere near at full pelt like last season when he was just like, the goalkeepers didn't get a second because Isak and Gordon were on them. That's what was kind of missing yesterday.
The thing is, he doesn't like playing on the right, does he, Gordon? He doesn't like playing. You can see that he doesn't like it. He likes.
But even when he moved to the left, Billy, it was on the left when he gave up running after the ball.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because his performances on the left have been so not as great as they were last season, Harvey Barnes has come in and took the chance with both hands. He's now first choice from on the left. It has to be at this precise moment in time. So Gordon's going to have to grow up and grow a pair, really.
Yeah. Okay, Harvey Barnes, Bill.
Well, he's the best player we had, no doubt about it. Great goal, constant threat, did all he could with little support, really. So I'll give him a 7.5.
I've gone for a 7, Billy, but exactly the same sort of thing. I mean, what I'm loving from Harvey Barnes, and I said this last week as well, Billy, is his work rate. He is one player on that pitch who is giving it everything. Every time he's getting the ball, he's trying to make something happen. And I do want to point out that in the first half yesterday, Harvey Barnes made 2 fantastic runs. And if they'd had the brains to play him in, he would have been clean through on goal twice. He was making some fantastic moves off the ball. And it just, I don't get it. Why they didn't play him in. And you could see his frustration growing as well. There was once where he was clean through in the middle, Billy, and he just, I think Gordon had the ball and just completely ignored him and went the other way. And then the other time, they went back to Dan Burn again.
I mean, someone mentioned earlier that does Gordon actually pass the ball to Barnes? Because I'm trying to think and I can't remember. I must be honest.
Yeah. But there's too much of this going backwards again, Billy. That's what I don't like seeing. It's too much going backwards to the 2 centre-backs again, and it's the same old. They'll go to Trippier then go back to Share will go to Barnes will go across to whoever's playing at left-back. And then, we were doing that in the second half when we were getting beat, and it made no sense to me why we were doing that. It was shameful. Right, the substitutes at half-time, one was Lewis Hall. Jacob Murphy came on as well, didn't he?
Yep.
Did anyone else come on at half time? I think that was the only two.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
Two.
Lewis Hall and Billy.
I mean, he's an attacking player. He's better going forward than what he's defensively, but he's young, isn't he? He's naive defensively. But he gets stuck in. He never fighting for effort. But he does get us up the pitch more, and he has a wonderful left foot. But
he had a dreadful mistake yesterday, though, didn't he?
There was one awful mistake where he just passed the ball.
He lost the ball in the middle of the pitch, didn't he? And then, I mean, we laughed about it because it just summed up Newcastle United's afternoon, didn't it? Really,
I'll give him a 4.5.
4.5. Again, I'm close to you, Billy. I've gone a 4. Jacob Murphy, very good start to the second half, but kind of faded away.
Without a doubt. I looked at his stats earlier and they were bloody awful. But the first 5 seconds of the half, really, half a minute, he created a goal. Brilliant. Again, he was involved in that move that put Gordon through. So aside from that, he did piss all, really, but I'll give him a 5.
He got an assist, I suppose. Yeah, I think a 5's probably at a limit. Okay, who else came on?
Livramento, Tonali, and Asula late on. We can hardly mark Asula, I don't think, and he had 7 minutes.
Yeah, we'll just go for a 6 for Asula, shall we? Just to,
You get the second best player to come on for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That says it all. I thought Asula had tremendous movement when he came on yesterday. At least he was trying to be a bit physical.
But he played with the 10th the first kind of 83 minutes. 38 minutes in the second half.
Yeah,
then brought Asula on and then Isak went into the 10. Why don't you bring Miggy on and give Miggy going the 10? That's his position. Didn't understand it.
Yeah. Livramento.
Not great.
He was skinned at least 4 times, I remember, Billy.
Yeah, his confidence looks shot for some reason, isn't it? He's just dreadful, really. 3.
He's not the only one, though, is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah, I've gone 2.5, Billy, because they just disappeared around him too many times. I mean, Reece Nelson had his absolute life. But yeah, and finally Tonali, Billy. 17 minutes, very little time to impact the game.
Maybe touched the ball 4 or 5 times. 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've gone 5 as well. I mean, leaving it till 17 minutes or 16 minutes, I can't. I mean, we said this earlier in the show. I just don't get it. I don't get his reasons, and I want, I'm sure there is a press conference tomorrow morning, Billy. And if there is, I want questions asked. I think we all do, and we need them answered. Okay, Eddie Howe.
He got the selection totally wrong. That the one pick, the Tonali pick, we were dominating midfield, weren't we? And we needed someone with a bit of control in there, and you need to pick him.
We need someone with a bit of fire as well, Billy, not just control.
Yeah. I'll give him 1 out of 10.
1. I've given 3.5, and the reason I give him 3.5 is because at least something was said at half time, which gave us a bit of a spark to come out and try in the second half. For that first 10-15 minutes, I thought we were good. It looked like something had been said, that the players had a rocket up their arse, but then it went south again. So 3.5 for me, but at a stretch 3.5. Just shite, basically. Big Tank, thank you for your super chat. To the point of Hall being better with attacking, has he played right wing? I'm not saying he should play there, but I think he means left wing, doesn't he? Well, maybe. But look, now is probably not the time to play defenders as forwards, etc., and actually very much not the time to do things like that. I think the time.
If you liked inverted wingers, and it might be a shout.
Yeah, but the thing is, Eddie needs, and I think he knows this, that he needs. I said this last night. This is probably his. He's under the microscope massively now. This is probably a bigger challenge than the injuries that he faced last season, because he had an excuse. The injuries were an excuse, and he had one. This time around, the injuries are not an excuse. He has got players on that pitch who are very, very good players and should be winning games, with no disrespect to Bournemouth, Fulham and Wolves, etc. Although we beat them, but we struggled. And, yesterday it all caught up on us. And to be fair, that should never happen. Players should not have the attitude that they did yesterday. We really, really want these players to go out there and perform, and to perform to their very best and give it all. That's all we've ever asked for, really, as Newcastle United fans. We want them to give it all. And I'm more, the fact that we lost yesterday, I'm more disappointed with the majority of the attitude of the players on the pitch. Yeah. That's what sort of hurt me more, really, was the attitude of the players. And if we go down fighting, we go down fighting, or we lose a game, but fair enough. But at least you can turn around and say, hey, it wasn't for the lack of trying, was it? But yesterday,
how do you think he dealt with it, though, Paul? How do you think he dealt with it afterwards? How do you think he do you think he's a hairdryer man, or do you think he's the way?
Well, I mean, a lot of Bournemouth fans actually came out and said that he can be like that behind the scenes, but I'm not seeing it, Billy. I'm not seeing a man who goes in there and tells the players exactly how they should be told.
I mean, I don't actually have a problem with him putting an arm on Gordon, because I don't believe he's the kind of player that responds to the hairdryer.
Maybe not. Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But certain players certainly need it. I don't know.
I mean, but once you lose the players, Billy, it's very rare that the players back on side. So if there is any sort of
and his squad isn't big enough to be able to kind of change and swap as he wants, quality wise. So he's going to have to deal with it, basically.
Well, look, there's some very big games coming up for Eddie Howe now. I mean, if God forbid we were to lose on Tuesday night, I mean, that would just be not only embarrassing, but just probably an indication of where we are. But the Premier League games that he's got coming up are huge, starting with the weekend with Manchester City. It's a huge game. And if our players have that kind of attitude against City as well, where they're just heads down, or can't be asked to chase the balls, or I'm not fighting for the cause, then there's something seriously wrong at this football club.
I mean, yesterday's result was kind of might have changed his thoughts for the Wimbledon game. I've got no doubt that he would have rested and played a few of the second string, if you like. But now I'm not so sure he will. I think he has to kind of.
I think he's under pressure to have a good cup run, because it might put him in a job.
100%.
The fact that we have a good cup run. It's massive. Stephen says, I know you said you don't want him to go, but I think we need a change and a fresh start. Stephen, that's a fair comment, and a lot of fans are thinking like that. I'm not there yet, but I have said that given what's happened to this, performance at the start of this season, he's walking a thin line, and he's not doing himself any favors by keeping one of the best players in Europe in Tonali, which we know he is, sitting on the arse. It makes no sense at all. Usman, thank you for your super chat. He says, thank you for a fair and honest breakdown, lads. Thank you as well, Usman.
But the point of it is, performances have all been the same. So whether you take results out of it, we don't seem to have learned anything, and the players don't seem to have booked their ideas up any. So just despite the results.
Yep. But there you go, guys. Not the kind of review we were hoping from the game, especially with the score predictions that, I'm keeping mine well away from the microphone, because I'm not even going to say, because it's embarrassing what I predicted, considering how the game went. But that, it's black and white blood, as we know. But hopefully that was a rocket up their arse that has been coming, and maybe that they needed. And if that's the case, then maybe, just maybe, things might take a turn. And think, oh, yes, we scraped by the points. That was the kick up the arse that we needed just to get going again. Fingers crossed. But listen, it's a big game on Tuesday night. I know it's Carabao Cup. People are saying, oh, it's only Wimbledon. Wimbledon will be fancying themselves. It's at Plough Lane. They'll make it very difficult for us. And the pressure that Eddie's under right now, he needs a result. And the players need a result as well. We as fans need we need to see them go out, play some good football.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Working hard and scoring some goals. That's what I want to see on Tuesday night. But we will be back tomorrow. If the press conference is at 9:30, we will be live at 11:30 with a press conference reaction. Hopefully, we get some answers from the manager. But we will be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with the preview of the game. We'll have a look at Wimbledon, see how they've been doing, and if they pose what threats they do pose, should we not decide to turn up on Tuesday night. So that's at 7 o'clock. We'll bring you all the latest news as well. And, of course, Tuesday night, we're back again for Matchday Live, full commentary of the game from Plough Lane. So plenty of things coming up this week. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you for your super chats and memberships. Mods, thank you again. Billy, thank you so much. And a huge thank you to you guys for spending an hour and a half with us on a Sunday night. Not very positive, but hey, you can't be positive after watching that. It's more to try and put some sort of structure to it and see how we turn it around. And hopefully the lads will do that with the games coming up. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and we will see you all again tomorrow. Good night.
How are the lads and lasses?
Come back and check out some green.